especially the Cowboys fans who stuck by me through this tough time.
Zeke is back for the playoff push. We'll get to him in just a minute. Welcome into Sports Night on a Thursday. I'm Joaquin Sanchez. Lake Travis is our lone area team in the state title game, and despite the tough road to get here, it should come as no surprise. This is now the third straight season that the Cavaliers have played for it all. LT faces Allen on Saturday. That's a school that's more than twice their size. Cavaliers have talent up and down the roster, and this morning that was put on display. Two of the best players signed into two of the biggest college programs. That's quarterback Matthew Baldwin inking his name to Ohio State, while Dicker the kicker, Cameron Dicker, is part of UT's class.
We just went down the line and Ohio State got them all. I really like Columbus. I really like the coaches, Coach Meyer and Coach Day. My parents like the place, and so, it just checked all the boxes.
This doesn't happen for kickers every year, and it's huge that it's right here in my backyard, so I think it's just a really cool deal for me, and I'm thankful to my parents for helping me do all this and paying for everything for me.
They could have definitely used Cameron Dicker on the 40 acres last year. This is Travis Raycheck joining me now on set. Those are a couple of the guys that have helped this Lake Travis offense just be so good this season.
And it seems like the talent pool at Lake Travis is never empty. But Joaquin, it's not always just about the players. They have some pretty elite coaching out there as well, and the play calling is pretty unique as well. So who is the man behind all the magic? It is time to meet the guy pressing all the right buttons.
Hank Carter is the leader of the Lake Travis football program and one of the best head coaches in the state. But the vaunted LT offense is not his. Carter has entrusted that to a very creative coordinator.
Well, I trust him with my livelihood. I mean, I'm the head coach, athletic director, and I don't meddle with offense. We brought him back to Lake Travis because of his creativity and because of his way with kids. And he's done a fantastic job, and the rest of the offensive coaches as well. They're creative. They put our kids in positions to succeed, and Coach Wall's done a phenomenal job of that.
Michael Wall was an offensive assistant at Lake Travis during the first 3 title seasons. After a few years away, Coach Carter brought him back and handed over the keys to the Cavs offense.
100% of the success is due to Coach Wall. This game we run is unlike any other schools. I'd say it's probably one of the most complex schemes in high school football, I'd say in the country. He trusts me. I've been in the system for 4 years. Trust me running it. I trust him. And it's really about getting the ball to playmakers in space. And we do a great job of that, and we've got some big-time playmakers, so usually good things happen when you do that.
Coach Wall perfectly put together the talented pieces on offense last year that led LT to a state title. But many wondered what would happen this season after so many of those guys graduated.
Last year, we were so talent heavy, and there were a lot of kids that were going to play in 2017 that did not have a ton of experience. But we started looking at these kids and trying to start putting the pieces together, certainly in the offseason. We go through spring football. I love spring football because of that reason. We start to get answers to all these questions. So it's just been a while of gauging talent and coaching them in the sub-varsities and kind of figuring things out.
He's figured it out. Lake Travis back playing for a state title behind an offense averaging 44 points a game.
He's great OC. He always leads us to success, and he always does a great job of putting us in the best position to go out there and get it done. So
that's what it takes to win games, to score on defenses, things like that. So really, it's whatever it takes with him. If that means putting me at left tackle, you're gonna do it. So.
And that's a big part of Coach Wall's brilliance. Not only designing the right plays, but knowing when to call them, like the 2 trick plays that Travis used last week to beat Katy.
We carry things like that in all the time and try to pull them out in the right situations, but it all comes down to execution, and last week was just a classic example of outstanding execution on a deceptive play. I try to maximize our kids' talents, honestly. We have a lot of kids that can throw, of course, a lot of kids that can catch, and so I try to maximize those sorts of things, and I try to be able to run them off of either hash, so on either situation, be versatile and things like that. But there are a lot of these plays that we will have. I'll start practicing them 2 weeks out, especially if they take a little bit more than, let's just run them twice in practice a week. I don't do that. I make sure that the kids know the details.
Joaquin, I got to imagine he's got a few of those plays ready to go on Saturday, and he has plenty of talent to work with. But what's kind of amazing to me is, think about it, since Abe Willows got hurt, in the 2015 season, he hasn't had a real running back in that offense. Malik Barkley played that position last year, but he was kind of more of a hybrid. Hasn't really had it this year, and still makes it all work.
Yeah, it's been so good. And the biggest thing for me, we showed one of those trick plays that they ran last week against Katy. But right when Matthew Baldwin gets hurt, they got a touchdown lead with like 5-6 minutes left. It could go either way. And then it's the other way. It goes Garrett Wilson to Hudson Card. I mean, everybody can throw touchdowns. And those are both really, really good passes as well and perfectly timed.
And as he mentioned, to have the confidence in that situation, not only a close game in the state semifinals, but pouring cold rain
Against an
in
elite
that
defense.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that he's able to do that. You know what's also amazing is that offense, which is so good, has no first-team All-State selections.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say one or two of those guys got snubbed.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Matthew Baldwin, what a story he's been this year. He didn't get to start last year all the way till his senior year, but you get the feeling that anybody who's playing quarterback at Lake Travis is going to get a chance to play at the next level.
And the guy coming up behind him, as we see, is a really good receiver. Hudson Card will get that chance. I don't think he'll have to play quarterback on Saturday. I think Baldwin is definitely going to give it a shot. The knee is coming along better throughout the week. But yeah, the factory continues to churn them out.
How do you like the matchup against Allen?
Look, it's Titans. It's Texas high school football Titans going up. And I wouldn't put anything, I wouldn't bet against this Lake Travis team because we've seen that they've taken down other big programs already on this playoff run.
Yeah, well, Travis mentioned the all-state selections. Let's get to some of them sticking in the high school football world. This is the 6A team. It was announced today, and there were plenty of local guys on the team, but how about Westlake's Braden Cassidy? The biggest honor, he's named the Texas Defensive Player of the Year. Cassidy had 101 tackles, 15 sacks for the Chaps, who went 14-1 this season. He signed with Oklahoma State on Wednesday.
And Joaquin, joining Cassidy on the 6A All-State team is his teammate, Nakia Watson, the power back of Wisconsin signee, over 1,900 yards this season and 22 touchdowns. You got another area running back making the first team, Cedar Ridge senior Simi Bakari, Missouri signee, over 1,500 yards this season. At the receiver spot, as we mentioned, no Garrett Wilson, but Westwood's Cam Thomas. Really good year for the Boise State signee, over 1,300 yards, almost 20 TDs. And on defense, no surprise to see Caden Stearns on the first team, steel safety, UT signee, led the Knights in tackles, had 4 interceptions also this year.
Yeah, let's drop down to the 5A ranks. They're littered with locals as well. No surprise seeing Caden Leggett, the first team wide receiver, Georgetown senior, had over 1,400 yards, 22 touchdown catches. In the backfield, McCallum's Alexander Julian, part of that dominant Knights offense in the running game. They were so good this year. Julian led the way with over 2,000 rushing yards. Same can be said for Southside's Edward Perez. First team selection had 29 TDs during the regular season. So Travis, you mentioned some of the snubs. Who do you think was left out? Garrett Wilson.
I mean, if I'm starting a high school football offense and I have the first pick, Garrett Wilson is my first pick. And it's hard to take it away from what some of those other guys did. And I don't know if you can quantify everything that he does from, he also runs the football, he returns kicks, all-around playmaker. There's not a better one in Texas.
I imagine part of it is, we can just put him on it next year.
Yeah, I think they lean the way of the seniors on those lists.
All right, Travis, well, thank you so much. Well, 3 games